So by now we're all aware that the folks at Line 6 have just released their new 3.1 firmware update for the Line 6 Helix and HX Stomp. This is a wonderful update. You know, the folks at Line 6 just keep outdoing themselves and adding really amazing features to the Helix and just taking an amazing product and making it all that much better. So I wanted to do a quick video about my top 5 favorite features in the 3.1 firmware and maybe give you an insight into maybe some features that you overlooked, didn't know were in there, or just thought maybe wouldn't be of interest to you. So without further ado, let's take a look at my top 5 features in the new firmware 3.1 Helix and HX Stomp update. Coming in at number 5 might seem like a strange one. It's actually the increased oversampling that the folks at Line 6 have built into the Helix modeling. You might say, well, what is this? Well, in a nutshell, it's a sound quality improvement without any extra CPU usage. This sounds like a great thing. Now, by their own admission, the folks at Line 6 have said that maybe a lot of folks won't even notice a difference. I can't say that I have done a proper A/B comparison yet. I will very soon, and look out for a video on that topic also. But I would just tend to lean towards any improvement at all is always a good thing. And I mean, I never thought that the Helix really necessarily needed a huge improvement, but I'm sure there are ways they can tweak just to get a little bit of extra something out of it. And some folks complain about certain things with digital modeling, and I think they're always striving to make these things better. So what does the increased oversampling do? Well, according to the new features rundown, the oversampling has been increased across the board, resulting in higher fidelity, fewer aliasing artifacts, smoother decay trails, especially when running multiple amps in parallel. And like I mentioned before, the Line 6 folks say some people might not notice a difference, but those highly sensitive to aliasing will appreciate 3.0's smoother response. Amp and effect models have been optimized to accommodate these improvements without increasing DSP usage. So take a look for a video where I'm going to actually go through comparison of the different tones, and we'll see what happens when we do that. But I just think this is a great thing that the folks at Line 6 are still working to give us the best possible sound of the Helix, even though it's an older product. At number 4 is the addition of the Mandarin Rocker amp model. This is a model of an orange Rocker Verb 100 Mark III. And honestly, when I first saw that this was going to be included, I wasn't terribly excited about it. I like orange amps, but once I tried it, I was blown away. I just think the models that the folks at Line 6 are adding are just really well thought out and really flexible, really wonderful sounding models, and this is no exception. So what do we have on the Mandarin Rocker? Well, we have a basic set of controls: drive, bass, middle, tread, master, channel volume, seg, hum, ripple, bias, X. But it's how this sounds that is so incredible. And I really like it, believe it or not, matched up with the 112 Cali extension cab with a 160 ribbon mic a few inches back. Now this amp is capable of everything from kind of lower gain, crunchy sounds, all the way up to a ridiculous amount of gain. Really great amp model, and look for a video dedicated to this dialing in very soon. And I also have on the Line 6 Marketplace, as of the release of 3.1, the Mandarin Rocker Ultimate preset, which you can check out a video for and check that preset out, which is the Mandarin Rocker with 4 snapshots and a whole bunch of effects built in with it. At number 3 is the Hot Springs effects model, which is a new spring reverb that we've been given. Now, a lot of folks might say, well, we had a spring reverb on the Helix already, but you know, there was always a lot of complaints that it didn't give a really genuine, proper spring effect. And the folks at Line 6 have rectified that situation. And they've given us the Hot Springs, which is a spring-style reverb with many more parameters. So over here in HX Edit, we have a dwell parameter. We can change the number of springs. We have a drip control, low cut, high cut mix. And I gotta say, this really is a huge improvement over what we did have as a spring reverb before. We can change the dwell, the number of springs, the drip. And I think a lot of folks are going to finally be very happy with the fact we have a proper spring reverb within the Helix. Coming in at number 2 is the new dynamic Hall effects block. Now, again, so many folks have complained in the past about the Helix not having great reverbs. And I've done a lot of videos about this. I don't think it's that they never had great reverbs. I think that the reverbs were not overly tweakable. I did a video recently where I talked about using different modulation effects and all sorts of other effects blocks on a parallel path to help to give ourselves more flexibility with the reverbs. But something with the dynamic Hall now, they've built a lot of these possibilities and a lot more tweakability into it. So if you look here, we have everything from decay, pre-delay. We can change the size of the room. We have diffusion controls, damping controls, motion control, different types of EQ, a low frequency EQ that we can put on along with low and high cuts. And this is a really beautiful sounding reverb. We can get this all the way up to 10 seconds of decay time. Beautiful, beautiful lush tones we have now, and very flexible, very tweakable. So that is my number 2 favorite feature of the 3.1 firmware. Coming in at number 1 is the Retro Reel effects block. This is designed to simulate our Helix tone being recorded onto a reel-to-reel tape machine and getting all the beautiful tape characteristics of doing just that, recording onto a tape machine. So if we look at it, we have a wow and flutter, a saturation effect, low cut, high cut, tape speed from 7.5 inches per second to 15 inches per second to 30 inches per second, and a texture control that the more saturation we add in, we can get a different tightness or looseness and a little bit of a different EQ on that saturation. This is amazing for doing things like subtly beefing up a tone, or even in front of an amp using it as a full-blown overdrive pedal for some really interesting effects. And I just find that this really beefs the tone up nicely. With it off, It's a very subtle effect the way I have it set right now, but very useful. So this is going to be an amazing effects block, even in Helix Native, for using on drums, vocals, anywhere where you need a little bit of tape saturation simulation. This is just a wonderful addition and my #1 favorite feature on the new firmware. Please look out very soon for a full dialing in video. In fact, for all of these features that I put out, look for other videos that may come out very soon after this for how we can use all these parameters, how we can get them sounding the best. And I hope those are very helpful for you. So that's it for this video. Those are my top 5 Helix Firmware 3.1 features in this update, and I hope that I pointed out some stuff that maybe some folks didn't realize were there, and they can make good use of those in creating your presets and getting the most out of your Helix. So thanks so much for tuning in. Please like the video, share it with anybody who you think would get some use out of it, and please subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell notification to get notified when I put new content out, and I will be back really soon with some more. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Ciao for now.